You were just in India now with Jay Shetty. What do you tell yourself in that situation when it's like, you know, the audience is going to be there listening in?
I have this thing where, you know, people say fake it till you make it. I just don't believe in that saying.
Oh, thank God you said that.
There's a reason. There is an absolute reason you're being asked to do this. Your professional side of things needs to be respected as well.
Do you think you need to have a good vocabulary for that? Nimi Mehta, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I have been watching your work for the past year, I think. I've been stalking you properly for a year.
I love it. Yeah. I'm here for stalking.
And I just have to say that you are a very captivating speaker. You are very articulate. You know how to draw a crowd in. And I've seen you on stage with likes of Idris Elba. I think you presented with Tyra Banks, Stephen Harvey, and just recently Jay Shetty.
Yes.
So exciting.
Huge.
Were you always a natural at being an MC in front of people, in front of the stage? And how would you describe yourself? Who are you? What do you do?
Who am I? Oh my gosh, it's like a question my therapist asks me all the time. Who am I? Okay, well, to answer who I am now, I am a TV host, a radio presenter, podcast host, MC, public speaker, and now becoming a public speaking coach, which I'm super excited about, which we'll obviously get into. But I wasn't always like this. And I feel like people don't really know that about me. You know, I feel like you just, especially on social media or TV or radio, you see like the finished product. And it wasn't always like that. So I was super shy, super timid growing up. I would say probably till the age of 21, 22.
You're kidding.
I had moments where, and my mum will attest to this if you ever get to meet her, she is shocked at who I am today because I would be at a restaurant like 18 years old and I would be asking my sister to ask the waiter for a glass of water because I simply could not do it.
No
I was
way.
terrified of everyone and everything. And I just didn't have the confidence. I just didn't have the voice.
What changed? Was it something you watched? Was it someone you saw it? Or was it like a kind of a dream you had? What was it? What made you want to get in? Like, how did you gain that confidence?
I have this thing where, you know, people say fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in that saying.
Oh, thank God you said that.
Yeah.
I was going to be like, I don't believe in it.
Yeah, I don't believe it. And the part I don't believe in is the till you make it, because I'm not quite sure what make it means, right? It has a different definition. There's no one size fits all. It could mean anything. So I, looking back on my journey, think I kind of faked it till I became it, right? Which was putting on this persona, putting on this alter ego that Beyonce says she does on stage with Sasha Fierce, she calls her. I don't have a name for my alter ego, but I just feel like I had to fake my confidence and I became something else and someone else. And then eventually I realized I wasn't faking it. Wow. It was just a part of me that I wasn't honing into. So it was always there. I just didn't realize it.
Wow, that's profound because it was always within you. You just had to kind of peel back the layers and tell yourself, what did you tell yourself that first, I guess, event or first hosting experience? Take us through that journey, like the mental journey, because it's all mental.
Oh, it really is. And it's terrifying. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I got up on stage and I was amazing. I messed up so much. I still mess up to this day. There are so many things that can go wrong, so many elements out of your control. But I remember the first time I had an opportunity to MC. I remember my first ever national radio show on Radio 1 in Abu Dhabi. And I completely ruined it. Like, I was sitting there, they were like, we're going live. And bear in mind, this was like when Radio 1 had gone off air for like a year or two. We were coming back on air with a brand new team, brand new studio and everything. And they were like, you're going to be on breakfast on your own.
Wow.
So I went from doing a local radio station back at home in London to like 2,000-3,000 people. Then they brought me over to Abu Dhabi to do Radio 1 breakfast to a whole country.
That's
that was
amazing.
my step up.
You did a solo show for your first gig?
Yeah.
In Dubai or
in
Abu
Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
That's insane.
I know.
When you were in London, had you been doing like, were you partnering up with, did you have a co-host?
No, I was doing it on my own, but I'd only been doing radio for 3 months. I hadn't,
goodness.
I thought, you know, I always wanted to be a TV presenter.
Yeah.
But then radio kind of happened and I thought, oh, this is fun. Did it for 3 months. And then Radio 1 Abu Dhabi was happening. They asked me to send over a demo. Sent it over. I really was not very good. I don't know why they chose me, but I got it. And I was like, why would I not take it? Let's just rise to the occasion.
Right.
And first show, I completely messed up. I mean, the technicians came in, they pressed some buttons 5 seconds before. They counted me down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live. I put the mic up and there's no output.
No
way. I'm speaking, but no one can hear me. And I am so upset. Imagine you just want to cry because you've built yourself up for this moment.
It's the moment.
It's the moment.
Yeah.
Which you think is going to make you or break you. And it broke me. And I was like, why am I here? I started questioning everything. So it goes wrong. And when you just kind of, you have to roll with it and you learn from it.
So from that moment when you realize that things will not go right every time, you know, you try, what did you tell yourself? What was the feedback you were giving yourself? Or was it someone else? Did you have a mentor or anything like that?
Interesting. I never had a mentor. Okay. No, there was no one that really guided me or gave me advice, especially in the media world. You know, back in London, UK, it's such a tiny market. So you have people that you looked up to. And I always looked up to Jamila Jamil. She's a actress now.
Love Jamila.
Yeah, in America. But in the UK, she started off as a radio host and then she moved on to becoming an MTV presenter. And she took that route. And for me, it was about representation. I saw someone that looked like me.
That's super important.
So important. And I was like, hang on a second. If she can do it, I can do it. So I didn't have direct guidance or mentorship from her, but this is someone that I looked up to and kind of wanted to emulate.
Did you have any formal training? Was there anything that you were doing before, or like give us, because there was, you know, between you feeling like you couldn't speak to people and you weren't that social, kind of an introvert, like what was the like journey from there to becoming a presenter? There must have been some kind of growth or like learning or something.
Yeah, I started just doing YouTube videos in my bedroom, and I had graduated from university and I actually wanted to have my own magazine one day. That was the dream. And I have like the draft I've done already, like from back in the day.
I have the same dream.
No way. I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then like the digital boom happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I need to pivot here. Yeah. So I went into like broadcast journalism, but I just kind of decided I need to start recording myself. I don't even know what it was. Don't know if you know Lily Singh.
I love Lily Singh.
Love her.
Yeah.
So I started seeing all her funny videos and stuff. Again, representation. I saw someone that looked like me. And so I thought, hang on, she's doing it. I want to do it. So I started recording videos. They were terrible. I think they're still up on YouTube if anyone wants to have a laugh. But I was just doing trending topics, talking about my thoughts on it. I tried everything, dabbled in everything, fashion. I spoke about politics. I spoke about all these random things that I just wanted to hear myself back, and I tried to improve every single time I recorded a new video.
Amazing. So it was like a variety show. You had a full-blown variety show.
No one was watching, just me. Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, let's come back now to present day Nimi, who is getting, you know, these amazing gigs. Some of them are a little bit scary, you know, like you were just in India now with Jay Shetty.
Yeah.
What is I guess, like, what do you tell yourself in that situation when it's like a big, you know, the audience is big, you know, the audience is going to be there, you know, listening in. They've paid tickets and they want to see Jay Shetty and they want to have the entire experience. What do you tell yourself in that situation? Are you just like, oh, this is just another kind of, you know, opportunity, or is this the thing? Like, how do you kind of prep for that mentally?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I really care about people and brands that I align with and I work with. So I'm quite conscious of who I work with. Okay. So does the brand or the person align with what I believe, the values that I have? Do I feel comfortable representing them? Is there a synergy there? So that is super important to me. I feel like if I stand for everything, then it will mean nothing.
Yep.
So I think it's really important to be conscious of who you kind of team up with. And when it came to Jay, it was an absolute no-brainer. Obviously, he's one of the best humans I know. So he WhatsApped me and he was like, I have a professional proposal for you. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. And he said, I have a gig coming up for his world tour in Dubai. He was like, will you host Dubai Opera for me? I was like, oh my gosh, of course. Like, as if you even need to ask. And then a week later, his team calls me and they're like, Jay would love for you to do the India leg the whole week. And I was shocked. But then also I had like major imposter syndrome.
Really?
I still have imposter syndrome when it comes to any big brands that I work with.
Yeah.
I think it's natural for all of us.
Of course, it is. Because sometimes you want to say yes because you're a yes person. Like you are a go-getter. You want to say yes to the opportunity. But then after you say yes, you're like, wait, what did I just say yes to?
Exactly. And I think when it comes to emceeing or being on a stage, I think what I've noticed, especially with whoever I'm hosting for, whichever brand, is I'm representing them, right? Yeah. I'm not representing myself.
Right.
And I think that actually takes away from the pressure in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because people in the audience may not even know me and my own journey and who I am. All they see is, for example, if you're working with MasterCard, all they see is a MasterCard representative on the stage.
Right.
They don't see Nimi Mehta, you know? So that helps me in that sense that, okay, the brand is very clear about what they're trying to, you know, put forward and the image they're trying to give. And you kind of become a chameleon because you're adjusting, you're shape-shifting to every different brand that you're working with, every different message you're trying to get across. And I love it. It's like acting.
Yeah, it is. And you're taking on that role of like, I am with them and this is not, it's not about me anymore.
It's not about me. And so it actually takes the stress off your shoulders.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like, so what about what about crowds? Like, talk to me about energy. Like, does it matter? Or is it all about what you kind of say to yourself? Because sometimes the energy of the crowd is just a little bit dead and you can't do much about it.
Oh, it's so difficult.
Like, especially if you're representing a brand that's a little bit more corporate, a little bit more outside your like realm, you know? How do you deal with that?
I am hyper vigilant about reading rooms and people. And I feel like I was like that from a very, very young age. I'm such a good observer of just noticing body language or the way people are speaking, the way people are smiling, the way they're even breathing. Like, really? I can tell by the way someone's breathing how they're feeling that day.
Wow. So if you're on a stage and you're looking out, you're looking at, you know, who's coming in, who's sitting.
Yeah.
How do you gauge? Like, are you just looking at people, like just looking at their phones? Are they bored? Are they not? Like, what? Give us a little bit of like maybe just top 3 things you notice.
Yeah. I notice the ones that are talking to others, right?
Okay.
Then I notice the ones that are on their phones, zoned in, not really self-aware of where they are.
Yeah.
And then I notice the people that are sitting there in absolute silence and in solitude. And I know how to kind of adjust my way to be able to reach out to all 3. I think the most difficult type of people are the ones that are zoned into their phone. Yeah. Because I'm like, how can I bring them into the room?
Yeah, because they're far gone.
Yeah.
We know where the phone can take you.
Exactly. And that's really difficult. So I try loads of different techniques. Okay. First thing, I think you set the tone from the very beginning, right? Yeah. And like you said, if it is a corporate scene and if it's a corporate audience, I'm not going to go out there and be like, how are we feeling today? It's just not that type of audience, you know? They're not going to respond to that. If anything, they're probably going to find it annoying. So let's not do that. Let's get straight to the point.
Yeah.
You know, no beating around the bush. Whereas if it's a younger crowd, whether it's a more informal event, you know, you can enjoy yourself, have a bit of fun and, you know, be a lot more casual with it. It's like you're talking to your friends, right? But corporate is more difficult. And I feel like you do take it on. I take it on myself. If the crowd is not responding the way I want to, I do bring it on myself because it's my job to bring them out. So you try different things, and the only way you can try different things is by keeping on doing it. Like you just have to, because I would say one thing for me is I thought because I'm representing a brand, I can't be myself. And we get stuck in that, right? So although you're relaying their message, you need to put your own spin on it. You need to bring out Nimi or Yasmine. You need to be able to bring your own flair out so that people relate to you. It's all about relatability.
So let's get into the nitty gritty of it. So when you get the script, for example, like, are you just changing everything to suit what you are going to, like, of course with their key messages and everything, but like, are you kind of bringing your own spin to it, or are you sticking to what is given to you and you have to kind of go with that? Like with stuff like the Museum of the Future, you know, that's a very kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's down to the bullet point. So do you feel that? Do you feel like you have the capability of like, okay, now I can, you know, I should make this my own. Yeah. And I should kind of let this be as it is. How do you?
It's changed a lot over the years. I feel like very much at the beginning when I first started hosting, I just wanted to make the client happy. And so I just got away key messages and I would just structure it exactly the way it is written in the script. And then as I became more confident in my output, I realized I don't even look at the script anymore.
No way.
I look at the key messages. I now am able to have like just an idea and a roundabout, you know, of what they want to exude and give out and the energy they're trying to create. Of course, there's certain wordings or sponsors or brands that you have to mention, names that I 100% stick to. Okay. But I don't even stick to script anymore. I go off. Even when it comes to interviewing celebrities, I do my research. I do everything that I need to in preparation.
Right.
But I find myself not even looking at the questions when I'm talking to them.
That's great. I think that's perfect because then you're like, you're really drawn in. And I saw that, I think even Tyra Banks like gave you a compliment where you're like such a good
she's
listener.
amazing.
But like, it is like listening is such a huge part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think that's what people don't realize. And that's what I talk about a lot lately in my course as well, is that the communication side, instantly you think it's the words and the verbal side of things that you're giving out and you're speaking to others. But half of the communication is listening as well.
So crazy.
It's listening to the crowd. It's listening to the person you're interviewing. It's listening to your peers in a meeting, whatever it may be. Yeah. Half of it is listening. So you have to work on becoming a good listener as well.
I guess it's not that crazy because you're actually getting information from the person, right? You're like, okay, thank you. Like it's receiving. And now I'm going to ask you about that.
Yeah. And listening ties in with the reading people.
Yes.
Right? So it's listening and reading because you're reading the person. You can see they're not reacting as well as you would hope. Okay, how can I switch it up on the spot?
100%. I mean, I think those are a bit challenging when like it's a shorter kind of panel or it's a short, like you don't have the time to get to know. But when it's like a long, nice interview, you're like, okay, I can feel you. I can read you.
Exactly.
It's so good.
And those short panels though, I still come away from panels feeling like, oh gosh, that wasn't great. You know, it could have been better. Oh, we could have done this. Oh, we could have done that. But what I love to do and what I would suggest to anyone who is interviewing people or, you know, has a chance to meet the people before they're going on stage, a panel, for example.
Yeah.
Have conversations with the rest of your panel beforehand, you know, when you're off stage. You're not meeting for the first time on the stage. Do not make it that way. You should be off stage, having backstage conversations, introducing yourself. You know, what can we talk about today? What would you like to get out of today? I love asking the people that I'm interviewing, what do you want from our conversation today? Because I think it opens up so many questions that I may not have thought of. And I want it to be collaborative. Yeah. It shouldn't just be one way.
I love that. I've never thought of it that way. I always thought, okay, let's get to know obviously the subject, but like, you know, never actually to sit down with them. Cause for me, it's always like a time situation, you know, like we don't have enough time, but but it's an investment, right? You're investing in the person before you speak to them.
100%.
Because they're going to be open with you.
Yeah. And you know, I'm really conscious here, especially in Dubai, right? When celebrities or whoever it is comes to town, we all get slots, right? We all get like 10-minute slots. And if that, it might not even be 10 minutes, it might be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm so conscious that every single interview is the same for that person.
Yep.
You know, that they're going to be asked the same questions, that it's the same media stuff and they're so bored of it. Like press days can be really boring for people.
Yep.
And I like to switch it up. Like, that's why I think it's so important before your person or whoever you're talking to sits down to just have a quick chat and just be like, I was thinking of going in this direction. If you don't want to, please let me know which direction you want to go into, because I'm really flexible.
Yeah.
And that also just puts them at ease, because I feel like then it's not as rigid.
Such a good tip.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is great. I feel like we should, I mean, because that's what you're naturally going to speak to them. So why not just speak to them before? Like, it's just kind of like one's structured, one's not.
Totally.
So just kind of, you know.
Yeah.
What about, do you think a good speaker or presenter, I'm going to use those terms kind of interchangeably, just so like speaker, presenter, public speaker. Do you think you need to have a good vocabulary for that? Or do you think it's just more about like the energy you exude?
I think it's a bit of both. And the reason why is because it depends what you're representing. So if I'm hosting a tech festival, like STEP conference, I need to have the vocabulary for that. I'm not just going to go on stage and use the basic stuff. I'm there for a reason, for a tech conference. So let me do my research. Research, prep, practice is so important, no matter what you're doing. So in doing that, naturally, you're going to pick up the vocabulary from that industry, right? And you should, and it might not always make sense, but hey, go with it. Just go with it. Keywords, buzzwords, super important in situations like this.
Yeah.
I noticed that at the beginning, I felt like I had to be an expert of that industry to be able to represent it.
Yeah.
But I'm not there to be an expert. They haven't hired me or booked me because I know everything about tech or beauty or wellness.
Right.
It's because of the energy that I put out.
Right.
So I can speak of something top line as an MC because the other experts that they've booked here to actually talk about the actual industry are there to give you information. I'm not there to educate you or inform you. I'm just there to set the tone, keep things moving. And I think that we all get wrapped up in that.
100%. Because I was just going to ask you, like, you know, on a macro scale, what do you think the job of a host or an MC is? I mean, it's hard, right? Because you do take on that pressure. You feel like, oh my God, this is all on me.
It is.
But then it's not.
Yeah, it is and it's not.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. And I think it's exciting because really your only job is to just keep the crowd engaged. You just want to keep them like with you. And it's okay if people drift off, it's normal, but you just need to keep it moving. And that's the thing as a host, like you need to be on your toes always. You can never switch off, right? You need to be there. If something's running late, if time is running over, you need to be there. You need to be prepared. But it is on your shoulders to keep it moving. I would just say it's not on your shoulders to inform or educate. You just need to get away the key messages. And your just energy has to be high at all times. And I don't know about you, but I feel this, that like I'm exhausted after a gig.
Oh my God. I'm exhausted, but on a little bit of a high. I'm like euphoric, tired.
Exactly. The adrenaline is going. But the way I describe it, and like even a radio show or a TV show or an interview, it's like, you know, people's 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
That's compressed in like the 2-3 hours we're hosting a stage, and it's all in that like bubble. And so afterwards I have this come down of like, I'm so excited. I absolutely love that. But I have a headache and I am exhausted from it.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's like energetically you have really, it's like a asteroid.
Yeah.
You've just kind of been like blah on stage and then been like, all right, see you later. I'm going home now to my normal life.
Yeah.
And it's not, I guess, the most normal thing, but it's exciting. That's what keeps it exciting.
100%. I love it.
So cool. So, all right. So say someone gives you a call. They're like, hey, Nimi, we want you to host this thing at the whatever, I'm gonna say Museum of the Future.
Yeah,
that's the last thing.
Yeah.
But we don't have a script yet. We don't have the notes for you right now. We'll give them to you the day before the event. What do you do in that situation?
I at the beginning again I was like, okay, whatever you want, even if you don't give me a script, I'm there. Just, you know, because you were so desperate to learn and keep doing gigs. Over time, I have created a structure and a process in which I work. So this comes through knowing your value and your worth and what you bring to the table. And of course, this has taken time, But I started to realize that the more gigs that I'm doing, the more people that I'm talking to, the network that I'm growing, and the brands that are approaching me to work with them, there's a reason. There is an absolute reason you're being asked to do this. Therefore, your professional side of things needs to be respected as well. Right? Because as professional as I am to get up on stage and just do something if I need to do it without a script, I can do it. But that's because I've trained myself and worked really, really hard to be able to get to that space.
Right. But you'd rather not.
I'd rather not, because guess what? I want to do the best for you and your brand. So I want a script a week before minimum. And that is just how it works. And that's in my agreement. That is, you know, what I put out as my terms before I book and agree to a gig, is that script to be provided a week before, because I want to do my work for you. Is what you deserve. It's what you're paying me to do.
100%.
And that's what you get when you book quality, right?
Yep. I mean, if you ask me to, you know, if you give me a script a day or a rehearsal the day before, and I don't know who's going to be on stage with me.
Yeah.
This is not going to go as smooth as you would like it to go.
No.
FYI.
And some companies do work that way. Yeah. They just do. And there's nothing you can do, no matter how much you push and ask for something. You don't get briefs literally until the day of. And then you get the other extreme of companies that are literally sending me like audio files of the way to pronounce names for awards.
I love that.
That is incredible.
Can I tell you something really embarrassing
Please.
thing that happened to me once?
Yeah.
All right, guys, vulnerable moment. I was on stage once and I was at a school and I had gone to this Indian school.
Yeah.
And I think it was in, I want to say Dara. I think it could have been in Dara. And I was emceeing and they gave me all these names to pronounce for awards for the kids. It was at a school.
Amazing.
Kids had to come up. Listen, I did not get many names right. I was getting him, and I can just look at the principal. The principal just was like not loving it, and I was like, "Look, you guys should have someone should have told me. You guys got us last minute. Send me those audio files.
Yeah.
Someone needs to pronounce the names for me." And this is something that like a lot of companies I think should hone into. Like
totally,
just be after it.
100%. And you know why? Like for me, I think the greatest or the most basic respect you can give someone is to say their name correctly. And
basic.
It's so 101. And I felt like growing up having an Indian name, my full name is Nimi Mehta.
Okay.
But growing up in London, no one could say Nimisha, hence why we got down to Nimi.
Yeah.
I was getting Manisha, Mamisha, all these random things. And I always felt so insulted and disrespected by it.
How dare you?
I know. And so being in Dubai, in the UAE, and we've got cultures from everywhere, the most basic thing you can do is learn someone's name.
Yep.
Even if it's an interview and I have to sit down just before we start recording, can you please just pronounce your full name for me? Because I don't want to get it wrong for you.
Yep.
That's so important to do. And I think we owe that to the people that we're working with.
Yeah, it's just a basic form of respect. And I think they'll love it.
Yeah.
People, whoever you're speaking to will be like, all right, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
You spelled my name correctly.
Exactly.
You said it correctly.
I love it.
Give us a little bit of tips on, say you're going on stage. It's like, crowd of 2,000 people.
Yeah.
And the nerves are getting to you. What do you do? What are give us maybe, I don't know, just a couple of tips on what can someone do before they get on stage, or maybe a little bit of affirmations, what they can say to themselves.
Yeah, totally. I think one thing that controls you in anything that you do, whether it's getting on stage, whether it's sitting across from your boss asking for a raise, whether it's, sitting down with your partner, having a conversation about where the relationship is going, whatever it is, breathing is at the center of everything, right?
I 100% agree.
So before I go on stage or before I do any of the things that I mentioned, I have this technique and it's called the 2-1-2.
Okay.
So I take 2 quick breaths in, which is let it out, and then do 1 really deep one, like literally to the top of your lungs, which is, and then the 2 again, which is the 2 short burst. Sometimes I might need to do it once. Sometimes I might need to do it twice or 3 times.
Yep.
but I need to just center myself before I go on.
Yep.
So before I go on, there's crazy madness going on with everything.
There's a lot,
right?
There's hair, makeup, everyone's speaking.
Totally. Yeah. Whether you've got notes on your podium, whether you're mic'd up, whether it's a handheld, whatever it may be. You're worried about the clicker of the presentation on your screen. Just do this. It recenters you, or come up with your own technique.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the 2-1-2. It could be 2-2-1. It could be 1-1-2. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Find something that works for you, because I notice once I center myself with the breathing, my vocal range changes, the depth of my voice changes, the tone is different, and I just feel a lot more centered, even physically with my walk. When I'm walking onto stage, I feel more powerful.
Yeah.
So it really, really helps. I would say breathing, if you can find a way or a technique that works for you.
Yep.
Just go for it.
What about words? Any words that you say to yourself, like as in affirmations, or do you?
I went through a phase of where it was the imposter syndrome. Now I don't get it as much, but I just say to myself, you're exactly where you're meant to be.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
Because that brings me back into my body.
Yep.
Because we're like, I feel like we have these outer body experiences, right?
Especially when you're like in front of a crowd, because you're like, I don't know where I start and they begin.
Yeah.
I don't know where,
Yeah. You're in the middle of a sandwich here.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is, there's a crowd, there's you as the layer, and then there's your client, the brand.
Yeah.
And what you're representing. And you're bang in the middle of that sandwich.
100%.
Right?
You're like the liaison.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's the pressure on top and there's the pressure underneath.
Yep.
And it's squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. They're about to take a bite, and you want that bite to be the best bite ever.
Yep.
Right? And you want to be a part of it. So that pressure is really, really on. And you're so right, because I don't think there is a where they start, where we begin. It's all mushed together.
It's all mushed together.
Right.
No boundaries up here.
Fortunately and fortunately. So I think you are where you're supposed to be and you're meant to be. Just brings me back, because I'm like, hang on, you've worked for this.
Yeah.
Like, this just didn't happen overnight.
I love that. And so then when you're on stage, say something wrong happens, okay? Say maybe you forget a line, the light isn't right. I don't know, you forget your clicker. Something's just kind of like put you off.
Yeah.
How do you get back into yourself and into your notes? Like, are you like upfront and honest about it? Or you're like, sorry guys, I just like being transparent? Or are you more like the type that's like, the show must go on, don't even sweat it?
I'm the call it what it is type.
Yeah.
And I noticed that was more natural to me.
Yep.
Right? Because I think actually the crowd reacts and they actually laugh with you, because it's reality. Things go wrong all the time. Nothing is perfect. If something is going wrong, we're like, oh, we're just having a few technical issues, but that's an everyday thing, so don't worry about it, you know? And you have a little laugh with it, because it makes it a lot more human.
I love that. I feel like I would probably do the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's just let's just talk.
You know, it was so funny, because I was hosting this event called Globe Soccer, which is all these like footballers and whatever in town. I say whatever, it's pretty huge. And I love the team. But I was supposed to, introduce someone to the stage to give an award. And they were delayed and they just weren't coming on. And so the only signal I got from the team was, just keep going, just keep going.
Yeah.
I'd already gone through the key messages of what I need to push out. Social media, hey guys, try this, do that. Shout out to all the sponsors. I had nothing more I could really say. And I thought, Nimi, what can you do now? And every time, I don't know, the universe just helps me, but I look out to the crowd and you can see which ones are ready to engage with you.
I love that. They're doing the eye contact.
The eye contact is there. They are fully in with you. And so I'm just like, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling today? Throw it on to other people.
Great.
Because it's not about you, right?
What a tactic.
Yeah.
Because you don't, first of all, you don't have to burden the responsibility of like having to make jokes now or whatever.
Yeah.
Should people do that, by the way, or should you not?
Asking for a friend.
Because even sometimes I watch it and I feel like the MC's trying to like, be one with the crowd. Should they be doing that, or should you just like kind of stay in your lane?
Yeah, I would say stay in your lane. I think when something's going wrong and you make a joke out of it, I think that's fun.
Yes.
But when you're just trying to turn it into a stand-up show, I think like
Don't
do that.
No, because you're not hired to be a comedian in this
Right.
situation.
And
in this climate change conference.
Yeah, please don't do it. Just don't. Because I always put myself in like the audience position.
Yeah.
Would I find this annoying? Probably.
Yes.
So let's just not crack the dad jokes.
Yeah, let's not crack the dad jokes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good.
Avoid it at all costs.
I love that though.
Yeah.
I think like, yeah, take the pressure off yourself. What kind of, say like at the beginning when you're first starting out, I'm guessing you have to say say yes to a lot of brands that you're just like not really, feeling. But do you encourage people to just take on as much work as they can, or do you encourage them to be like just know where they stand from the beginning?
Well, I didn't know where I stood from the beginning, so I can't say that that's how it should be. I did say yes to everything because I wanted to gain as much experience as possible. I did so much for free just because that is just what I wanted to do. I had a vision of what I wanted to become and to which level I wanted to get to. How do I do that? Well, I just need to get through the door first.
Yeah.
So I said yes to everything.
Yep.
And as you grow and as you get better and as you get more experience, you're able to get to a place where I spoke about before, where you are conscious about the brands that you work with and who you align with. That's I would say, a novelty now, but you've earned it. You've worked your way up to that point. So I would say experience is way more important than anything else. But you've got to enjoy it. You've got to love it. That there's signs there if you're pushing something that isn't for you. And I've done this so many times, trying to go in a direction where something just doesn't fit and I'm just trying to fit it in. It just doesn't work. So you've got to realign. Yeah.
Amazing. Nimi, I feel like we can talk for ages.
I know,
we have like 3 minutes left, but I really, really just want to know more about this industry. Look, people can find you. You've started your own page and your own company now. People can actually take workshops with you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it's called Speaker by Nimi Mehta, and it's a public speaking masterclass platform workshop. I'm giving a program, like a course to people, and it's really just to help the everyday person.
Yep.
Because I feel like public speaking, learning how to use your voice, communication skills, they're not taught to you in school. I wish they were, but they're not. And it's essential to any human being. Like no matter what industry you're in, no matter what your dream is, no matter who you are, you need to learn how to use your voice. Like your voice is your greatest asset. And if you master it and learn how to use it, there is nothing you can't do. So that's why I wanted to create this and really just help people out there. And it's exciting because I'm learning still.
I love that. And you know what? You learn more when you're teaching. I feel like when you're like, oh my God, I forgot about that note. That's very, very important.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
for
much.
being with me today. And I learned so much already.
No, you know what? I love what you're doing. And I think that, you creating your own lane and doing this is so important. So more power to you.
Thank you so much, Nimi.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yay.
All right. We did it. Thanks, guys. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any comments, questions, or you just want to say hey, just pop a message in the comments below and see you later.